What's good, Internet? My name is attackslug, and welcome to my WWE Battleground 2016 prediction video. As always, let me know who you think is going to win down in the comments, and I will get into my somewhat rambling, somewhat lengthy predictions, which at this point might end up being twice a month, considering that they announced Backlash for September, but also there's Night of Champions in September. So, double pay-per-views again? Oh god. Anyway, these matches are kind of in no particular order because I usually go by the lineup on WWE.com, and it's not up yet. And as always, this is going up 48 hours before the show starts proper at 8 p.m. on Sunday. Pre-shows, whatever. I don't know what matches of these are going to be pre-show matches. There are eight matches here. Anyway. Rusev versus Zack Ryder for the United States Championship. Now, the U.S. Championship and the IC Championship are an all-or-nothing proposition here for the challengers. Because, if you paid attention to the draft, Rusev's Raw, Ryder is SmackDown. Miz is SmackDown, Darren Young is Raw. So, either both of the champions retain and the U.S. belt stays on Raw and the IC belt stays on SmackDown, or, conversely, both of the challengers win, and the belts swap shows. You can't have one and not the other, because you're not going to have both of your mid-card belts on one show. That makes no fucking sense. So, that brings me to what do I think is going to happen for this match with Rusev and Zack Ryder. Will Ryder pull off the upset like he did at WrestleMania with the IC belt in that ladder match? I'm going to say they're going to keep these belts as they are, which means I think that Rusev will go over on Zack Ryder. It might be a valiant effort, but I think he will definitely get that win and keep that U.S. title on Raw. And I'll get to my brief discussion on the IC thing in a minute. Anyway, we have Sasha Banks and a mystery opponent versus Charlotte and Dana Brooke. And certainly, this feud will continue between Charlotte and Sasha until SummerSlam, because Sasha's on Raw and so is Charlotte. So, obviously, this begs the question, who is the mystery partner? We know it's not Yokozuna, because he's, not alive anymore. But, who is the mystery partner for Sasha Banks? And is the reason that they did not have Bayley on the draft is because she is actually the mystery partner? Or is it somebody else entirely? Is it Nia Jax? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So for me, it's kind of hard to speculate who's going to win this match. But I think at the end of the day, what the smart money is that Sasha gets the pinfall on Charlotte, proving that you can pin Charlotte and setting up your match for SummerSlam for the women's title between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. So I'm calling the faces in this match. So yes, the IC title is The Miz versus Darren Young, and The Miz is SmackDown, Darren Young is Raw, and I think that since Rusev keeps his US belt on Raw, that Miz keeps the IC belt on SmackDown. Hopefully Miz gets some of that mojo back that he had before he left to film that goddamn movie, and puts on some great matches as the IC champ on SmackDown. Fingers crossed. The only thing I want to see in this match is I want to see, like, when Darren Young did the crossface chicken wing on SmackDown Live, I want to see his face. They didn't show his face. Now, Bob Backlund, when he did that, he would lose his, eyes would bug out, lose his fucking mind. And I just want to see Darren Young lose his shit to slap on the crossface chicken wing. Now, my speculation is that he'll do that, but Maurice will distract the referee, and that'll be how that ends. And then Miz sneaks a win, whatever. So, next up, we have Becky Lynch versus Natalya, and there's nothing on the line here, and both of these ladies are on SmackDown. Oh, Superman Punch! So, there's kind of, was that it? No. There's kind of a weird, I don't know who to call here, because I kind of don't really care about this feud. It kind of just been there was the heel turn from Natalya, and it's just been kind of spinning its wheels a little bit. It kind of hasn't really, I don't like you don't like me kind of stuff, and there's no real meat to this feud. So, in terms of who's going to go over in this match, drive by. Perhaps it'll be a double count out. Like, perhaps they'll just brawl and the ref will call it off. Like, I see the potential for them not having a clean victory here. But if they're going to have a clean victory, put over Becky, whatever. Anyway, speaking of matches that should have been blow-off matches that probably won't be at this point, we have Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. The end of their 15-year feud. It's not going to be. But I would have liked them to have been, and they didn't, draft them to different shows, and you could have kept them apart for, at least a year until the draft next year. Because that when they had the old draft, it was every year they would have a draft. Whether or not that happens this time, who knows? But they made such a big fucking deal about, oh god, the draft. Oh man, this is the blow-off. And they both got drafted to Raw. Therefore, we are back to square one, which is fight forever. So, I guess the question is, who's going to go over here? Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens? Does it matter? Is there going to be a countdown disqualification? Is it going to continue until SummerSlam? I don't know. I'm going to call Owens only because the last time they had an actual straight match, Sami Zayn on Raw won clean. So, I'll call Owens here just because. Anyway, moving on to matches that are the last time you'll see these guys fighting. We have the New Day, who are all on Raw, versus the Wyatts, where Bray Wyatt and Eric Rowan are on SmackDown. 3 count. And Braun Strowman is on Raw. And I don't think that's going to be the result of Battleground, but I'll get to that shit in a minute. Make them look strong! So this is the blow-off for this weird tag team feud. As far as I know, the tag team titles are not on the line here. It is just straight up a feud between the Wyatts and the New Day. I think they're probably not going to turn... They really can't do anything, like, as much as they would have teased a thing with Xavier being hypnotized and whatever else, they kind of can't now, because Bray and Rowan are going to SmackDown. So the only one that's going to be on Raw still is Braun Strowman, who I'm assuming they're going to repackage as something else. I don't know. It's going to be a bit until Luke Harper comes back, but it doesn't matter because the New Day is on Raw. Anyway, what does that mean for this 6-man tag? I think it means that the faces go over. They just unveiled a brand new goddamn cereal yesterday. Actual Bootios. So why wouldn't you put over the faces in this match? And perhaps that's what we're going to see for a lot of this pay-per-view, is perhaps we're going to see, for these 6-man tags, some face wins, because why would you have the heels win if the feud's not going to continue? Usually at the culmination of a big feud, the face comes out on top, not the heel. And these deals are pretty much the culminations of these feuds, although I'll get to the stuff with Mr. Cena here in a moment. And that one I think differently because of a different reason. So, that moves us into John Cena, Enzo, and Cass versus The Club. Now, keep in mind, John Cena, SmackDown. Enzo and Cass, Raw. AJ Styles, SmackDown. Anderson and Gallows, Raw. So, given that it's the last time you're going to see this particular match, one would think on its face value, oh hey, have them, put the faces over. But in this case, I think it is very heavily possible that your SmackDown belt, should you introduce one, and certainly for your world title that you should, that you would have AJ Styles and John Cena fighting for the right to be the SmackDown champion at SummerSlam. Therefore, if you are continuing the AJ Styles and John Cena feud, you're going to put over The Club here. You're going to put over AJ, over Cena, have him pin Cena, and then have Cena be all mad about it and want a match with him for SummerSlam, one-on-one, since they're both going to be on SmackDown. And then obviously, Enzo and Cass, they're on Raw. The rest of The Club, they're on Raw. And there's a good chance the rest of The Club is going to get paired up with Finn Balor and have their Bulletproof Balor Club. It's already got shirts. So, there's that. Anyway, moving on to your main event of the evening. It is your champion, Dean Ambrose. He's on SmackDown. Versus Seth Rollins. He's on Raw. And Roman Reigns, also on Raw. So, this is what I've been saying for weeks now. Ever since they announced the draft, ever since they announced that there was going to be a triple threat for the world title, or I'm sorry, the WWE title at this pay-per-view. If, and obviously I have no knowledge, but certainly you're not going to leave SmackDown with only the IC belt as the top belt. That makes no sense. So you're going to want a world title. I don't think you're going to want to have your world champion be the only guy on both shows. They said for long enough, distinct rosters, right? Distinct rosters. That to me says you're going to want to have two champions. Now, do you take the Triple H route of just handing him the big gold belt and saying, here you go, Triple H, have fun? That's not a thing that I think that they should do. I think, and what I've been saying for weeks now, is that you have both Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins pin Roman Reigns, or have some kind of a 2-on-1 pin, and they dispute the finish and go, well, I guess they're both champion, or they both have, a double submission. I guess they're both champion, and then you ununify your belts, the WWE belt, because those were unified, WWE belt and the World Heavyweight belt, and then you have Ambrose as champ on SmackDown and Rollins as champ on Raw. I don't think they give Roman Reigns the belt back coming off of a 1-month wellness suspension. I think there is literally pretty much zero chance of that happening. Certainly I've been wrong before on this show, on these predictions, but I think that is a smart pick to... They're not going to put the belt on Reigns. That's like rewarding him for getting suspended at one of the most important times in the company. And I think that it's not a thing. Vince is a very vindictive guy, so I don't think that's a thing that he would do. He's very spiteful. Anyway, so yes, I think there's some shenanigans, and then Ambrose and Rollins are the disputed, and they ununify the belts. Because otherwise, just handing a guy a belt on SmackDown, or having they could have a tournament, but I think it makes more sense to have a disputed finish and ununify the belts. However you want to go about that. That's my prediction. That's gonna do it for this predictions video. Thanks for watching. As always, I am your host, attackslug. More videos every day. And I will see you next time, right here on this channel. Will Owen get this pin here? Nope. Anyway, I'm out.